The dust on the old console had not been wiped in 9 cycles. Observer Tin did not bother cleaning it anymore. Nothing ever happened at the rim post. The screens blinked in slow, lazy patterns, showing the same empty stretch of space they had shown for the last 40 years. Tan chewed on a dry root snack and watched a small insect crawl across the edge of his desk. He flicked it away without looking. Then the alarm rang. It was not a soft ping like the system tests. It was a loud, sharp wail that made Tan drop his snack and jump halfway out of his chair. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he stared at the main screen. A red marker had appeared at the far edge of the scan range. Something was moving. Something big. Tan tapped the console with shaking fingers. The numbers made no sense. Whatever the object was, it was traveling at a speed his system did not even have a category for. The display kept flashing the word error over and over. Tan muttered a curse and rebooted the scanner. The marker did not go away. It came closer. He sent a hail. No response. He sent another. Still nothing. The object did not slow down. It did not change course. It moved like a stone thrown by a god, straight and certain, aimed deep into coalition space. Tan's hands trembled as he opened the emergency channel. He had trained for this moment for 30 years and never thought it would come. "This is Rim Post 7, he said into the mic. His voice cracked. "Unknown vessel detected. Unknown vessel detected. Speed and class unknown. Requesting immediate council alert." Within minutes, the call reached the central hub. Within an hour, the council chamber was full. Diplomat Surin of the Caroline species sat in her seat and watched the long table fill with worried faces. She had served the coalition for over 50 years. She had seen border disputes, trade wars, even one small rebellion. She had never seen the council called in the middle of a sleep cycle. The senior members arrived still adjusting their robes. The Brockery delegate arrived with armor on, as if expecting a fight. The chief speaker, an old Velish named Dren, raised his thin hand for silence. "A ship has entered our space," he said. "It has not identified itself. It has not slowed. It is moving toward the central trade hub." Murmurs spread across the chamber. "Show us," Surin said. The big screen above the table came to life. A grainy image filled the wall. The vessel was massive, longer than 3 coalition cruisers stacked end to end. Its hull was dark gray, almost black, with no decorative paint, no glowing trim, no fancy crests. It looked simple, plain, brutal. But what made the room go still was the marking on its side. A small flag, blue and white, with a circle of stars and stripes. "That cannot be right," the Brockery delegate growled. He stood up from his seat. "Run the symbol through the database again." "Impossible," one delegate snapped. "They cannot reach us. They do not have the technology. This must be a trick, a stolen vessel, a deceit." Surin said nothing. She stared at the screen. She had read the human file once, years ago, during a quiet afternoon in the archive. She remembered the notes. The species fought among itself. The species had short lives. The species was loud, emotional, and split into hundreds of tribes. The reviewers had decided that humans would not be a real concern for at least 3 more centuries. 3 centuries. And yet here was a human ship, deep in coalition territory, ignoring every protocol and every law of physics the coalition relied on. Speaker Dren raised his hand again. The room slowly went quiet. "We will hail them," he said. "Diplomat Surin, you have the floor." Surin stood. Her legs felt heavy. She walked to the speaking platform and placed her hand on the comm panel. She had given 1,000 speeches in her career. None had felt like this. "This is the coalition of free worlds," she said. Her voice came out steadier than she expected. "You are entering protected space. Identify yourself and state your purpose. Failure to respond will be treated as an act of aggression." The message went out. 100 translation systems carried it across the gap between the warship and the listening post. The room waited. Seconds passed, then minutes. The vessel did not slow. It did not answer. It simply kept coming, like a great beast walking through a field of grass, paying no mind to the small creatures watching from the edges. The Brockery delegate slammed his fist against his armrest. "Send a fleet," he barked. "Stop them at the border. Show them what happens when a small species forgets its place." Surin turned to look at him. Something in her gut twisted. She had spent her life reading people, reading species, reading rooms. She looked at the dark warship on the screen, with its quiet hull and its plain markings and its impossible speed, and she felt a cold sense settle into her bones. This was not a small species making a foolish mistake. This was something else. She opened her mouth to speak. But before she could, the screen flickered. A new signal came through. A voice. Calm. Clear. Female. Human. The chamber froze. The voice spoke only one sentence. This is Captain Holt. We need to talk. A pin could have dropped in the council chamber and sounded like thunder. The voice from the warship hung in the air like smoke after a fire. No one moved. No one even breathed. Diplomat Surin found her hands first. She placed them on the comm panel and steadied herself. Captain Holt, she said carefully. This is the Coalition of Free Worlds. You are speaking to Diplomat Surin of the Caroline species. We hear you. We are listening. There was a short pause on the other end. Then the human voice came back, just as calm as before. Good. I want this to be a conversation, not a battle. I will keep things simple. You may ask questions. I will answer the ones I can. Speaker Dren leaned forward in his seat. His old eyes narrowed. He waved at Surin to continue. Why are you here? Surin asked. Your species is not registered for travel beyond your home star. Yet here you are, deep inside our space, in a vessel of war. Explain yourself. I will, the captain replied. But first, you should know something. We have been watching you for 11 years. The chamber erupted. Voices shouted over each other. Delegates stood up. Some demanded the channel be cut. Others demanded the warship be fired upon. The Brockery delegate roared so loud that 2 attendants had to hold him back from charging the speaking platform. Speaker Dren slammed his staff on the floor 3 times. The sound cracked through the noise like a whip. Silence, he growled. Let her speak. The room slowly settled. Surin felt sweat on the back of her neck. She turned back to the comm. 11 years, she repeated. How is that possible? We have monitoring stations across this entire region. We would have detected human probes. You did not, Captain Holt said. Because you were not looking for us. You decided long ago that we were not worth watching. So we used that. We placed small listening units near your trade routes. We studied your speech patterns. We learned your laws. We watched how you treat each other. A delegate from the Olin species spoke up, his thin voice shaking. And what have you learned, human? There was another pause. Surin got the feeling Captain Holt was choosing her words with care. Enough, the captain finally said. Enough to know that your coalition is not what it claims to be. The Brockery delegate snarled, but Speaker Dren raised his hand, and the room held its tongue. Why have you come now? Surin asked. If you watched in silence for so long, what brings you out today? They are now, Captain Holt said. The simple words landed harder than any threat could have. Surin swallowed. What do you mean by that, Captain? My government adopted that colony 6 weeks ago, Holt replied. We provided food. We provided shelter. We provided protection. They are under our flag now. And the Brockery raids did not stop. So I came to deliver a message in person. The Brockery delegate stood up so fast his chair tipped over. This is a lie, he shouted. A trick to justify your invasion. I have records, Holt said. Her voice did not rise. It did not fall. It just kept moving forward, steady as a river. Visual logs. Trade documents. Witness accounts. I will share them with the council. You may verify them yourselves. I am not here to argue. I am here to inform you that the next raid will be answered. A long, heavy silence followed. Surin glanced at Speaker Dren. The old Velish looked tired, more tired than she had ever seen him. Captain Holt, Dren said slowly, your message is heard. But you are still in our space. You came uninvited. You came armed. You ask us to take your word on serious matters. Surely you understand we cannot simply trust a species that has hidden from us for over a decade. I do understand, Holt said. And I do not ask for trust. I ask only for honesty. If your council was unaware of the raids, then this is your chance to act. If your council was aware and chose silence, then I am giving you a reason to speak now. The Brockery delegate snorted. We will not be lectured by a primitive species. We are not lecturing, Holt replied. We are simply present. Surin leaned closer to the comm. Captain, will you stand down? Will you turn your vessel around while we discuss this matter properly? There was a long pause. No, Holt said quietly. I will hold position. I will not fire first. But I will not leave. The screen flickered. The signal cut. The chamber was silent again. And outside, in the cold dark of space, the warship waited. Warlord Drevkal did not wait for the council to finish arguing. He walked out of the chamber while the delegates were still shouting, his boots ringing on the stone floor. By the time Surin and the others realized he had left, his ship had already broken orbit. He did not bother with formal orders. He did not bother with permission. The Brockery were a proud people, and a proud people did not ask before striking. He stood on the bridge of his command cruiser, the Iron Tooth, and pointed one thick finger at the screen where the human warship sat in patient silence. 3 cruisers, he growled. Send 3. I want that hull cracked open. I want the human captain dragged here in chains. I want her ship turned to scrap before the council finishes their next cup of tea. His officers obeyed without question. The order went out. 3 Brockery battlecruisers, the pride of the raid fleet, peeled away from the central station and began their approach. Their engines glowed bright orange. Their cannons charged. Their crews cheered as they prepared for what they thought would be a quick and easy kill. Back in the council chamber, Surin saw the movement on the tactical screen. Her heart sank. Speaker, she said quickly. The Brockery are moving. 3 ships. Attack pattern. Speaker Dren turned pale. Open the channel. Stop them. But it was too late. The Brockery ships had already entered weapons range. The chamber held its breath as the screen showed the 3 cruisers spread out in a wide attack formation. They closed on the human warship at full speed, weapons hot, shields up. The human vessel did not move. It did not turn. It did not raise any visible weapon. It just sat there, dark and quiet, like a stone in a river. The first Brockery cruiser opened fire. A wide green beam lanced across space and struck the warship's side. The chamber gasped. But the beam did not punch through. It did not even leave a mark. It splashed across the hull like water on glass and faded into nothing. The second cruiser fired. Same result. The third launched a swarm of heavy missiles. They streaked toward the human ship in a long line, glowing tails behind them. They never reached. The human warship moved. It was not a sharp turn. It was not a fast jump. It just shifted, smooth and gentle, the way a fish moves when it does not want to be caught. The missiles passed it harmlessly and exploded in empty space. The second cruiser met the same fate. Then the third. In 93 seconds, the entire Brockery attack force was floating dead in space. No explosions. No fire. No bodies. Just 3 quiet hulks drifting in the dark, their crews alive but helpless inside. The chamber was completely silent. Surin did not realize she had been holding her breath until her chest started to ache. She let it out slowly. Her eyes did not leave the screen. Speaker Dren spoke first, his voice barely above a whisper. What did we just witness? No one answered. The Brockery delegate sat frozen in his seat. His face had gone a strange shade of pale gray. His mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. The comm channel chimed. Captain Holt's voice came through again. Still calm. Still measured. Your 3 cruisers are intact. Their crews are alive. Life support is undamaged. I have left their distress beacons active, so you may collect them at your convenience. I gave clear warning that I would not fire first. I held to that warning. I responded only after I was attacked. The council may verify this from your own records. Surin's hands shook as she reached for the comm captain. Why did you not destroy them? You had the means. You had the cause. There was a short pause. Because I did not need to, Captain Holt said. Killing those crews would have served no purpose. They followed orders from a leader who believed he could not lose. Now they will return home and tell him he was wrong. That message is more useful than dead bodies. Surin stared at the screen. She did not know what to say. The Brockery delegate finally found his voice. It came out thin and shaking. This is impossible, he muttered. No species jumps that fast. No species builds weapons like that. The humans were nothing. They were less than nothing. They were dust on a small blue rock. Surin turned to look at him. Yes, she said quietly. That is what we believe. She turned back to the screen. To the dark, patient warship. To the species that had been waiting in silence for 11 long years. And she understood, finally, that the coalition had been very wrong about a great many things. News of the battle spread faster than any official report. By the time the council took a short recess, the story was already being shouted across every public channel in coalition space. 3 Brockery cruisers, defeated in less than 2 minutes by a single human warship, without a single death, without a single ship lost. Citizens watched the recordings over and over. Children pointed at the screens. Old soldiers shook their heads in disbelief. The coalition had stood for 900 years as the strongest power in this region of the galaxy. Now the people were beginning to ask a quiet, uncomfortable question. How long had they been wrong about humans? Inside the chamber, Surin sat in her seat and rubbed her tired eyes. Her tea had gone cold beside her. She had not touched it. Speaker Dren was speaking with 2 senior advisors in low tones. The Brockery delegate had left to report to his government, his shoulders hunched, his proud walk now a slow shuffle. The comm chimed again. Captain Holt was requesting another channel. Open it, Speaker Dren said. The screen lit up. This time, the captain did not just speak. She appeared on video. She was a woman of medium height with short dark hair, lined cheeks, and steady brown eyes. She wore a simple gray uniform with no medals, no fancy patches, no rank pins. Just her name on a small tag near her collar. She looked tired but not afraid. Council, she began. I think you deserve a full picture now. You have seen what we can do. You have not yet been told what we are. Surin leaned forward. The whole chamber leaned forward. For 11 years, Holt continued, my people have been preparing. Not for war. For arrival. We knew that one day we would have to step out of the shadows. We wanted to do it on our own terms. So while you assumed we were small and harmless, we built. We built quietly. We built fast. We built with the lessons your own history taught us. Behind our home star, we had shipyards in the asteroid field. 3 of our moons have been turned into living worlds. Our population has spread to 12 colonies in our own system alone. We have new propulsion methods that your scientists wrote off as dreams a century ago. We tried them anyway. They worked. A delegate near the back raised a shaking hand. And the warship, the Perseverance. How many like it do you have? Captain Holt looked directly into the camera. 40, she said. The chamber went still. 40, Surin repeated. Her voice came out small. 40, Holt confirmed. Spread across this region. Most of them have been here for years. You did not detect them because they were not meant to be detected. Surin felt the floor tilt beneath her. She had to grip her armrest to stay steady. 40 warships, each one capable of taking apart a Brockery battle group in under 2 minutes. Each one already in coalition space. Each one waiting. The coalition had no answer for that. Not even close. Speaker Dren's voice was hoarse when he finally spoke. Captain, why? Why hide for so long? Why not simply present yourselves and ask to join the coalition like any other young species? Captain Holt did not answer right away. She seemed to be choosing her words. Because we watch what happens to young species who present themselves, she said. We watched the Tassaran people ask for membership. They were absorbed, taxed, and stripped of their fleet within 50 years. We watched the Olan colonies sign trade deals they did not understand. They lost half their territory. We watched the Brockery rise to power by raiding worlds that were too small to fight back, while the Council called it an internal matter. She let those words hang for a moment. My species has lived through many empires on our own world. Every single one of them ended. Every single one of them fell because they grew too proud, too lazy, or too cruel. We learned from those falls. We learned that the loud are crushed and the soft are eaten. We learned that the only way to be safe is to be ready, and the only way to be ready is to be quiet until you are. Surin felt a strange weight in her chest. It was not fear. It was something else. Recognition, maybe, or shame. We did not come to conquer, Holt continued. We did not come to rule. We came to make sure that when we finally said hello, no one could ignore us, threaten us, or erase us. The age of small species being thrown to the wolves is over. Not because we are angry, because we are here. Speaker Dren bowed his head. His thin hands were folded on the table. He looked older than Surin had ever seen him. And what do you want from us, Captain? He asked softly. Justice for the colony that was raided, Holt said. An honest investigation into the Brockery and others like them. A real protection law for unaligned species. And one more thing. What? Surin asked. A seat at the table, Holt replied. Not as servants. Not as students. As equals. The chamber was quiet for a long time. Surin thought about the file she had read years ago. The notes about humans being primitive and contained. The casual dismissal. The lazy paragraphs written by analysts who had never bothered to look twice. She thought about how many other species the coalition had judged the same way. How many had been dismissed, forgotten, or worse. She turned to Speaker Dren. She did not need to say anything. He could see it in her face. "We will need time," Dren said to the screen. "The full council must vote. The Brockery will not accept this quietly. Other members will resist." "I understand," Captain Holt said. "I have time." The screen flickered and went dark. Surin let out a long breath she had not known she was holding. The ground beneath the coalition had shifted, and nothing would set it right again. 3 days passed before the Brockery struck back. It happened during a feast. Warlord Drevkal had returned to his home world burning with shame. He could not face his people with the news of his loss. So he twisted the story. He told his clans that the humans had used a forbidden weapon, that they had cheated, that they had violated all rules of honor. The clans believed him because they wanted to, and they roared for blood. 3 other species joined him. The Renali, who feared change more than they feared death. The Trogan, who owed Brockery money and could not pay it back. The Sulcari, whose old leaders saw the humans as a threat to their grip on the spice trade. Together they formed a hasty war pact. They called it the Pact of Order. They claimed they were saving the galaxy. In truth, they were saving themselves. Surin watched the news come in from her office. She had not slept properly since first contact. Her tea sat cold again. She rubbed her temples and tried to think. A soft knock came at her door. A young aide stepped in, holding a tablet. "Diplomat," the aide said quietly. "The human captain has sent another message. She is inviting members of the council aboard her ship, unarmed, under flag of truce." Surin looked up sharply. "Aboard the warship?" "Yes." "How many will go?" "None so far. Speaker Dren has refused. The other senior diplomats have called it a trap." Surin sat back in her chair. She thought for a long moment. Then she stood up, smoothed her robe, and reached for her travel bag. "Tell the captain I am coming." The aide stared at her. "Diplomat, please. With respect. This is not safe." The shuttle docked. The doors opened. Surin walked through. Captain Holt was waiting for her on the other side. She was alone. No guards. No officers. Just one woman in a gray uniform. "Welcome aboard, Diplomat," Holt said. She offered her hand. Surin had read about this human gesture. She gripped it carefully. "Thank you, Captain. Walk with me." They walked through the ship together. Surin had expected war machines around every corner. She did not see any. She saw a dining hall full of crew members eating together, laughing about something. She saw a small classroom where 2 adults were teaching 6 children how to read. She saw a medical bay where a doctor was carefully treating a small, injured bird that someone had brought aboard from a recent shore stop. The doctor was singing softly to it. "You have children on this ship?" Surin asked. "Some were born here," Holt said. "Their parents serve long missions. We do not separate families if we can avoid it. The ship has schools, gardens, and a small park. Life does not stop because we wear uniforms." Surin stopped walking and stared at a window. Beyond the glass, she could see a section of the ship she had not noticed from outside. Small green plants growing under soft yellow lights. Tiny creatures with feathers darting between the leaves. "You brought a forest into a warship," she said. "We brought a home," Holt replied. "A home that can fight back if it must." They came to a quiet observation room. Holt offered her a seat by the wide window. They could see the stars from there, and the distant shape of the central hub far away. "Diplomat Surin," Holt said, "I asked you here because I wanted you to understand something. We are not the species your reports said we were. But we are also not the monsters the Brockery are now claiming we are. We are simply people. People who learn the hard way that hope without strength is a slow form of suicide." Surin turned to look at her. "And the Pact of Order? They are gathering ships now. They will attack you." "I know," Holt said. "What will you do?" "What I came here to do." Holt picked up a small data slate from a side table and handed it to Surin. The slate showed a map of coalition space. Across that map, 40 small green dots were scattered, hidden positions, years in the making, every one of them within striking distance of a key packed world. Surin felt her breath catch. "You have been ready for this for a long time," she said. "We have been ready for everything for a long time," Holt replied. "But ready is not the same as eager. I do not want to fire on those ships. I do not want to take those worlds. I want the Council to do the right thing first. I want them to side with the colony that was raided. with the unaligned species that have no one to speak for them. Surin looked at her for a long moment. "Captain," she said softly, "if it comes to a vote, I will speak for you." Captain Holt nodded once. "Thank you. That is more than I asked for." Outside, the stars went on burning, and the galaxy, slowly, began to turn. The first packed ship crossed the line at dawn, local time. Warlord Drevkal led the charge himself, riding at the head of 200 vessels. He had stripped his clans bare to put this fleet together. Every ship he could muster, every gun he could borrow, every soldier he could rally. He believed numbers would win where his 3 cruisers had failed. He believed wrong. The 40 hidden human warships did not appear all at once. They emerged slowly, one by one, from positions the Pact never knew existed. Some came from behind moons. Some came from inside dust clouds. Some rose from the dark side of asteroid fields where they had been parked for years. Each one moved into formation with quiet ease, as if they had practiced this exact moment 1,000 times. Because they had. Surin watched the battle from the council chamber. The full body had been called for emergency session. Every delegate was present. Even those who had supported the Pact in private now sat in tense silence, waiting to see what would happen. The Pact opened fire first. 200 ships unleashed everything they had. Beams, missiles, plasma bursts. The sky around the human formation lit up like 1,000 suns. Almost none of it landed. The human ships moved in patterns that did not seem possible. They did not dodge in a panic. They glided. They flowed. Engines died. Weapons fell silent. Bridges lost power. Ship after ship went dark. None of them exploded. None of them broke. They simply stopped working, the way a clock stops when its spring breaks. Drevkal screamed orders. He demanded ramming attacks. He demanded suicide runs. His own captains began to refuse. They had seen what was happening. They were not afraid of dying. They were afraid of dying for nothing. In the end, Drevkal's flagship was one of the last to fall. A small swarm landed on its hull and gently disabled its engines. Captain Holt's voice came through every pack channel at once, calm and clear. "Warlord, your fleet is finished. Stand down. You have my word that no further harm will come to your crews if you cooperate." Drevkal tried to fire one last cannon. It did not respond. He tried to launch a missile. It did not respond. He sat in his command chair and stared at the dead consoles around him. His pride had brought him to this. His pride would now leave him here. Human Marines boarded his ship within the hour. They did not shout. They did not strike. They simply walked him off the bridge in cuffs, with quiet, almost respectful manners. He would face trial for the colony raids. The Coalition's own laws would be used against him. There would be no escape through old loopholes this time. The battle was over before midday. Back in the chamber, Surin stood at the speaking platform. The screens behind her showed the surrendered Pact fleet drifting peacefully under human guard. Her hands rested on the wood of the podium. She had given 1,000 speeches. This was the one that mattered. "Members of the Coalition," she began. "I will be brief. We have all seen what just happened. We have all seen what the humans can do. And we have all seen what they chose not to do." She paused. The room was silent. They could have destroyed every Pact ship today. They did not. They could have demanded our surrender. They did not. They could have taken our worlds, our trade routes, our seats. They did not. Instead, they have asked for one thing: a seat at this table, as equals, with one promise from us, that we will protect the small species who have no one to protect them. She looked around the chamber. Old faces, tired faces, some still angry, some thoughtful, most uncertain. "For 900 years," she said, "we have called ourselves the Coalition of Free Worlds. But we have not always been free, and we have not always protected. We let the Brockery raid colonies because it was easier. We let trade deals crush small economies because it was profitable. We told ourselves that stability was the same as justice. It is not. It never was. The humans have shown us a mirror today. I do not like what I see in it, but I will not look away from it either. I vote yes. Yes to membership. Yes to protection laws. Yes to the new path." She stepped down. There was no applause. There was no shouting. There was only the slow, steady sound of delegates standing up, one by one, to cast their votes. When the count finished, the result was clear. Humanity had a seat at the table. That evening, Surin walked alone to the long balcony outside the council chamber. The hub's twin moons were rising over the city. She watched them climb in silence. Behind her, somewhere out in the dark, 40 quiet warships had begun to pull back to their patrol routes, their job done for now. Captain Holt would not stay in Coalition space forever. She had her own missions to attend to, her own people to answer to. But the message had been delivered. The galaxy had been reshaped. But it was now. And in the cold dark above the city, the stars went on burning, the same as they always had, watching over a coalition that would never again be quite the same.